Okay, so I listened to today's Marjorie Days for celebrating preachers. Okay, so in the Christian walk, of course, we often say we those three modes we either mourn or we celebrate. Those basically are two things that we can be doing. The definition of mourning means to feel sorrow or grief over something that has been lost, and celebrating means to show joy and excitement about something good. And we have to understand that it's always a choice for us. So things that we consider bad, that always want to happen, we always want to know the things that we dislike. But we have the choice of deciding how we react, how we look at it. It's our choice to decide if we want to celebrate or we want to mourn. And this is the question today is about. So we're be reading from Ezra. And Ezra is a book about, oh my God. Ezra is a book about return, rebuilding, and revival. So we'll be talking about, of course, like that we get captive, those slavery. And this is the return. I was thinking about when I was 7 years, because that's things. This is what we'll be talking about when they return back, so when they were delivered out of this country. And just like God promised them, He did allow them to return to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was their homeland. And one of their first goals when they arrived was and to rebuild their temple, which they lost for how much they were seeing. Like the Israelites, we will go through setbacks, we will lose things, we have breakups, we lose our job. I ain't worked every week. I know we lose our job. I did have a breakup before. You can get sick, we can get in grief because we lose people that we love. These are all things that we can go through that seems like just like them, they lost their temple and we feel like we lose things like that. But it's important to understand from this lesson that God will punish you. You are going to be punished. I told you that before, you got a parent. Your parents don't look regardless if you try to say sorry, like I just come home. And I just get built around. We were laughing at her son because I told her she got PTSD. So when I used to hear that bell rattling, I started getting scared. Sometimes she just put her bell on, get ready to go. But I hear that bell bump, I get scared because I know I'm gonna be punchy. When she used to come my room, I used to say, "Why I love you?" Trying to make her not want to give me a boot. She said, "I love you too." So I cried. So I had to lay down, But yeah, even though the Lord punishes us, He takes things from us, we have to remember that He still loves us. If He didn't love us, He would not punish us. He would not take things away. And we always have the option of getting what we lost back. Great. We always have to remember that when He takes away, He does give back what He wants you to have. So He takes away what you want, but He give what He wants you to have. And it's all about His glory. So the first section is called Rebuilding the Altar. Of course, it's rebuilding means to put something back together after it has been damaged or torn down. And of course, the altar is the sacred place to worship the Lord. This message, Israel's going to be rebuilding their relationship with God. So, of course, we know that they physically build their temple back, but first they had to spiritually build back their faith. They get together, they get on one accord with each other. So, the spiritual came before the physical. That's how we should be in church. We should be united. We should be worshiping. It's not about the temple itself. It's about us in the temple. What are our minds? What are we doing? What are we focused on? So, this is what they did first. They got their minds right. So even if our lives have been torn down by a bad decision or a hard time, we have to remember that God still wants to give us a chance to rebuild. Give us a chance because it has to be a choice for us. We have to decide that we want to rebuild. Of course, we have to, that was the significance of they had to spiritually rebuild before He actually allowed them to rebuild their temple because your mind has to be in the right place before the Lord gives you things. Like my dad often say, we're praying for increase or we're praying for extra blessings and things that we're not even ready for mentally. So you have to prepare yourself spiritually before the Lord puts you in the physical. So we'll start with verse 1. Miss I can read? All because of disobedience and all that he done. Because he didn't listen to God's word. Like he told his father David,
If you good, you'll be blessed. If you bad, you'll be punished.
And then we have to realize that, like I said, we call a lot of our own stuff. It's easy for us to be like, why would I be doing this to me? Or why is more than me other things? But we don't take into account what we need to cause. A lot of stuff that we did, we just not self-aware. I always say, when I got self-aware, everything changed. You gotta be self-aware. It's like, me and my mom and dad was having a conversation not too long ago. And I was like, singing is fun, because you been bad. So like then we talking about stuff like that, how you been bringing stuff on yourself. My dad like, well, you put it yourself, what you said, I said, I was bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I know I did. I brought stuff on myself. And you don't know how to go punish you. So it's basically just how we live. You don't know how to be punished. And like, when you look, I said, my mom used to tear me up. Sometimes I get punished, sometimes my phone too. I prefer my phone too. Because it wasn't that serious to me. But she knew this, so I got with this instead of my phone too. But you never know how to work like that. You don't know if you take the phone, you get it, but you know, now let's go somewhere. So basically try to stay on the right side. Now they get that temple, they beautiful, right? Early feel temple. Spend some material and they end up losing because they want to be sin. So he takes what you love the most. My mama knew that I prefer not to get no whoop. So that's what I got. Then when I started following my phone, I stopped getting the whoop. Then I started asking for a whoop. She said, nah, I think it's phone. They were like a conscious. I started preferring a whoop. Then give the whoop. Nah, I'm getting the phone for a couple weeks. So it's easy, but he gonna take the shoe out because you're not going what he wants you to do. So yeah, they brought me so hard as well. Yes, their phone, I used to be in the cribs. I don't know what's going on when I get to school. They got to kiss me good, but having out evenings, I hate it. Me and my mom tonight. That's stupid.
And we know that when we get here, and when we do wrong, we go out of the property, we put that on one knee, down the knee. But you know what you're doing. Still acting that way. All right, we're going to be
I was telling my husband somebody that's mom I'm saying when the Lord let me know that you in there with him. You know, he might not have today, he might look you a couple weeks after you did something. You get it, you ain't get away. Sometimes I hear that forgive me, they say, I'm looking when you get home. When you get home, you can real quiet, don't want to read. They would ask somebody like, let me go get in the bed. If I'm gonna come in there before I go to sleep, I don't know, come on get that hook and I touch you. So sometimes you still don't get that whoop, like, you don't know when it's coming, but it's coming with the Lord and gonna let you slide. Now, she done snatched up, but I remember I tried to leave until she called me leaving at the restroom. I was still wet every night. I heard nothing, little hit me across the bed. Ooh, I was so mad. My dad was there too mean. He was like, nah, I don't know what she did, you know, it made it hurt.
And I didn't talk to me good. Nobody else did, but all you got, he got my mom, she go back, she's like, it's hurting. I'm going to go. And so we said, we have that line and trying to have the whole. I don't know, I'm back to him. He started back and she goes, you know, you went there for me.
Well, I couldn't learn from somebody who took a lot of me. I don't know what's wrong. I think I got from my dad. I think I got from my dad. I was real stubborn. I was real stubborn. Like, you do me, that might be you, man. I don't want to do it. She want to do me. I was real, man. Sometimes you get back to that. The one thing, the one thing I asked about my room. That's how it's cool. Oh, but basically, this day whooping, like we saying, and so now that it's over, there gives a chance to, come back to better and rebuild. So like I said, even though the Lord does give you a chance to lead yourself, just like you get that chance to, show your parents, show the Lord so good. Then you get your phone back, or you want to do your punch, you can echo right, your word right. You make sit on your dresser, get up to school, that's how it is to go. He give me that temple. So, start verse 1.
Verse 1. And when the 7th month was come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered themselves together as one man to Jerusalem.
Okay, so we know that 7 in the Bible is the number of completion. So this was the 7th month that he allowed them to come in together, and they all meet in the city, and they came as one. So nobody worried about, oh, I don't like so I ain't coming. You know, they put all this type of stuff to the side, and they came together again with the purpose of serving the Lord. It's something that we can keep in mind as well, because a lot of times you hear people say, well, I ain't going to church because they gonna talk about her. I don't like doing so. She's sick at my seat now. She trying to be seen, you know, feel like that. Well, I don't want to get in the because I'm not quiet. You know, the Lord gave you a voice to be able to sing, things like that. And then put those type of things in the midst. They kept it out. They kept their focus on the Lord, just like we should do. They all came together as one, put all of the aside. Because, of course, at the end of the day, God is the most important. It's not about how we feel or how we feel or anything like that. It's about the person of the Lord. So they came together as one. 2 and 3 together.
Verse 2. Then stood up Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and his brethren, the priests, and Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and builded the altar of the God of Israel, to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God. Verse 3. And they set the altar upon his bases, for fear was upon them because of the people of those countries. And they offered burnt offerings thereon unto the Lord, even burnt offerings morning and evening.
Okay. So, the significance of Joshua was that he was my saying before, but God didn't consider him to be his chosen one for you. So he was a symbol of how God wants to restore Israel, basically, you know, the symbol of hope. So that's why he was important to them, because Satan had chosen him to destroy, but the Lord said, no, this is my chosen one, and he's going for things that he's going to do, the things that you cause him to do. And it was, you know, their symbol of, you know, y'all messed up, I took that symbol, but, you know, I'm still going, y'all still chosen, y'all still going to get back. You just get a book right now, like I said. And I can't pronounce this Z word. Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was the governor. So that was his importance. He was also one of King David's descendants, and we know David was used for related. So he was also part of the team. So they came together and they spearheaded the rebuilding. And they used burnt offerings. And the significance of burnt offerings, making those hands that they were used when you knew you messed up and God deserved a life for it. Of course, this was in the Old Testament, so this was before Jesus gave his life for the sins of the ladies down to build their lives and their own lives. So they were burning those animals in representation of giving God life for their sins that they had committed. So that was for secret giving, even though they know they didn't deliver it to the land. So the offer kind of stood in place for them, so they personally when we punched, they feel like, you know, they feel like, you know, the offer they were offering. It's somebody when the meeting goes do something sorry, and they come bring them big old flowers, because they want you to forgive them, so like that, they seek forgiveness from the Lord. So they come in and they bring him meat, and I'm like, here God, get this, be sorry. So like what the men do, I ain't living on the one how to do all that. This is what I know men do. After you call cheaters, so they come trying to bring you all the out, purses, shoes, and money, and take it out. They were trying to, you know, bring those guns in place of what they did, trying to make God forgive them. So they were giving their burnt offerings to God that they were sorry and they were recording the story. Verse.
So they know what to do to get it out, but they had done sin. They had to do that first. That was the thing about when we began to our sin,
Yes, like I said in the intro, it's about the spiritual before he allows us to have the physical. So you have to have your mind right before the Lord gives you those blessings that you can support and be yourself. And like I said, if I want to my phone, I ain't get better. I told her that I had changed, especially if it's grade. My phone took me in grade period, to this year. So just like they have to show the Lord that, hey, we sorry, change, we ready to get our faith together. They gave us right office to show them, like, hey, we realize we because we started fresh start. Those animals representing that was helping us saying, hey, I'm sorry, but I said, like, that man, you get the flowers. Come downstairs, you got the flowers on the table because the man, I'm here to make man. Stuff like that. It's the same thing they got in the prayer office. Verse 4.
Verse 4.
Yes, ma'am.
Verse 4. They kept also the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to custom, as the daily of the duty of every day life.
Okay, so I had to look up what that was, the Feast of the Tabernacle. And that's a 7-day celebration because it's like, so I guess it's a 8-day celebration where the people of Israel kind of remember how God took care of them in the wilderness when they were sent away, how he freed them from their slavery in Egypt, how they had to live in tents or booths, they didn't have houses because they were in punishment. And how he kept them with food and water, fishing and guidance. Even though he was looking them, he still took care of in that situation. So they used the Feast of the Tabernacles to kind of celebrate and remember those times that they were in. So basically, they kind of went back to their roots. They lived in tents, so they came out of their house and kind of got the tents to remember that they had to do that. They did their burnt offerings, still asking for forgiveness, even though the Lord gave them forgiveness. They still wanted to know that, we still sorry, we did, we not forget that we messed up. We remember how we got to this trip, we acknowledge that, let them know that you got to acknowledge so you won't repeat it. You can't just stop doing something that you won't acknowledge that you did. So that's part of it. Me and my husband just talk about that in the car because he's talking about the song, y'all, and talk about why I can't some because I'm gonna sound good, saying stuff like that. And he's like, I sound good. I said, well, you got to acknowledge that you don't sound good before I hear the sound. You think you sound good already. Keep you want to be out keep is what I told him. That's it. I said this. Well, all mine to himself. He want to go there and that's what he wants to see God. But yes, all that it's just he don't even be trying to use up his mic. Some people not never keep something. But yes, I told him that when I just said you can't get out of here. You got to acknowledge this power. Why he don't think he out with it. So I can't put him on another think he out with it. You go. Yeah. One day we're going to get more than one.
Not today.
But yeah, this time we have to acknowledge that we are all important to, make sure that we get ourselves together. This part that we just remember the time that the Lord brought them through. So, you got to remember what you've been through so you won't go back. Like I say, we have to learn our history because if we don't, it'll repeat itself. We know how to learn from things that we done. It's just like, that little pieces, it's like, people drew teeth. I ain't celebrating but 4th of July, you get your outfits, and we look back at how we got delivered from over the bridge and all type of stuff. It's something just like that. How we get out, some of y'all drink on 4th of July. Some of us, and that's what they did. They was get together, they think about what the Lord brought them through, they read it, so they won't repeat it. Because I mean, it was a long 7 years. You don't want to go back. You want to make sure that you learn from it and show the Lord that you learn from it, so He won't feel like you need to put you back where you was. Just like when you're young, if you get that phone back, your mom see you still on your phone gossip. That's my daddy say when I gossip. They give you to the ice cream. You shouldn't tell somebody, I'm high, y'all. Get it out of hand. If you hear me gossip, you get it right away. You hear it again. So he broke my gossip head. So yes, that's how they had to show the Lord that they have changed. So they had a celebration of it. Just to remember some all that they had been through.
Verse 5, and afterward offered the continual offerings, both of the new moons, and of all the set of the Lord that were consecrated, and of every one that willingly offered a free will offering unto the Lord. Verse 6, from the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord, but the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid.
Okay, so they did the new moons, which symbolize the beginning of time, and then consecrated means, consecrated means having been made or declared sacred. So that's what they were doing. The Lord was telling them, hey, y'all had the new moon, it's y'all new star, y'all had y'all feast, and now y'all have been consecrated, meaning that y'all have been made and declared sacred for this land, which that we want to build our temple on. Of course, you want to build a temple on sacred land, you don't want to just build it, do it anywhere. You don't go to church, no anywhere. It's like, and like they have church like this or something like that. They have to mix up by the church and stuff. You want to keep it sacred right there with the church right there. So that's what they say. You want to keep it on sacred land. So then they were going, they got consecrated, they got the new land. Of course, I said 7 is the month of completion for the Bible. It's a very important number in the Bible. And it was the first day of the new month when they began their office. They kept everything holy, everything complete in the eyes of the Lord. So our key takeaways to remember that to rebuild, it starts with unity and faith. They all came together to rebuild. They all came from one accord. They put all their differences to the side. They put everything that they on to the side. And they put their trust in their minds on God. Not worried about who don't like who, and I don't like this, I don't like how they do it. They put all this aside and they came together as one with the focus on God. The same way that should be when we come to the church, not worried about who we don't like. We went quiet, we don't like when they sing, we don't want to hear them songs, I'm not quiet, I don't need no song, stuff like that. Put all this aside, focusing on the Lord. And we don't have to wait for the perfect conditions to worship. Of course, we know that they lost their entire temple as a punishment, but God allowed them a chance to rebuild. And they didn't stop praising God because they were in matter of fact, they had a whole ceremony to remember the time that God punished them. So it's like, look, we have our Black History Month. When we have Black History Month, how we still go back and we look at how we was playing ancestors. I always say we weren't slaves, the ancestors. Slaves and how our people came from, all the things that they came from, we still like remember that. They even had that time where they still look back and remember how God punished them. When He knows they were getting punished, He still kept them. So they think about this. So don't wait on the perfect conditions to worship. You don't have to just worship when you're going good. You can worship in your storm. Of course, the storm going in. It's going right all the way up. That's how. So, you have to think about it. The storm will be in. Keep continuing to worship in the good and the bad. And God is always wants to welcome you back, even if you fall. You always have the opportunity to rise and rebuild. But you have to do the work yourself. You have to allow Him to know, like they started spiritually, let Him know that you're ready to be rebuilt. And then He will rebuild you. That's okay. 3 takeaways like that. Remember them. Now, our next section 2 is called Laying the Temple's Foundation. So the temple is a holy place where people gather to worship God. They have their altar, but now they're going to the temple. Now, a foundation is the base or beginning of a structure, and of course, our foundation is the most important part of any structure. It determines what can be held up, what can be withstand. Spiritually, of course, our foundation is the fact that we believe in God. The fact that we have accepted Him, and the fact that we want to walk His path. That's our foundation as Christians. And if we always stay on the foundation, we always be fine, just like prophets and stealing, they always move into it. If you give your children or you've been given the foundation of God, you know that you always going to resort back to God at the end of the day, that's your foundation. So the foundation for what you build on. Verse 10.
Verse 10, and when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites, the son of Asaph, with cymbals, to praise the Lord, after the ordinance of David, king of Israel.
Okay, so now they're praising the Lord because they just set that foundation out. The foundation being laid. So they got the trumpet, they got the cymbals, they turn up and have a little party when we get that little shout, prayer, break, we in church and bring the music. It was up across the pool and we clap and shout. They praise the Lord. They dressed up and they ready to see, thank God for the ground right there. Let's see, with some of you, I don't know, we didn't have no ground workers. We didn't have it, but some churches have, when they rebuild, they had that little ground workers everyone. I can remember we had my brother was excited, we didn't have nothing. He didn't really have. But yeah, the ground workers ceremony, people had their vow together, they put their shovel and they take pitch brown shovel, everybody can be on it. That's what it is. So they basically have their ground breaking, they stay there, they got this stuff, they got the music, they get you in, and they praising the Lord for giving them letting them temple, because of course in the last section they showed him that they were spiritually ready. So he's now giving, he is allowing them to get ready to rebuild the temple. And let's do 11 and 13 together. I know it long.
Verse 11, and they sang together by force in praising and giving thanks unto the Lord, because he is good, for his mercy endureth forever toward Israel. And all the people shouted with a great shout when they praised the Lord, because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. Verse 12, by many of the priests and Levites and chief of the fathers, who were ancient men that had seen the first house, when the foundation of the house was laid before their eyes, wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy. Verse 13, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout of joy from the noise of the weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar off.
Okay, so, my bad, I took this out, I ain't gonna try to keep you reading. So, this is basically saying they were praising the Lord because I said they just had their groundbreaking. They had their holy land, they were saying that they began building. And they were thanking God for the fact that, they getting ready to build a new temple. So some of them were crying and some of them were shouting. All this was going on in the same service. They were all praising the Lord and they were making loud noise. The noise like we always visit with my auntie, she bust out screaming, that she do my dad preaching. They were making them type of noises. So they were making those loud noises and thanking God. But the elders, which were ancient media, old, they're old. I ain't sound a little mean, but yeah, those older people, they were weeping. So while the others were screaming and shouting, praising the Lord, those older people were weeping. And this is because, the elders went through a little more than us. So they saw the temple that they first had, and they saw the temple come down, and they went through the suffering, and now they get to see the rebuilding of the temple. So they were weeping, not because they were depressed or they were sad, but they were mourning over, look how good our temple is. Now we start from scratch, we got to start all over, because there was that punishment for their sin. But they lived through the fall, they lived through the punishment, and now they're living through the deliverance. So they were weeping because they had been through all that. They saw the fall. It's something like, we saw a new church. We had the other church at first, we was around the corner. We had our new church, and we packed up in that real tight temple. We on like you want to. I remember sometimes we used to have to, me and my cousin used to have to go to go on my granddad's office, they need our seats. We had no seats. We used to fellowship, we got outside, stuff like that. So it's like when we got our new building. A lot of times when we got in, I used to see the older people kind of dropping the tears, like, look what we came through, So they were seeing what they had been through, just like our elders in our community. They saw, like, the segregation and all that type of stuff, seeing how now we're, like, equal. So it's just like they were weeping because they saw the fall. They saw everything they had been through, and they saw that God had delivered them. It's just like how my granddaddy was when we first got here. Y'all remember that person in the bed? He was sitting there, he almost cried the whole service. He had my mom cry. Every time she looked at him cry, she wanted to cry. It was just like that, like, because he, you know, he worked hard to try to get us out of this situation. Remember, I remember we was laughing at the day because the church across the street used to come and make a move in the middle of service. No, that ain't even a pause. But they just wanted to be mean, making them move by a car while we trying to have church and stuff. We didn't have room. And they knew we used to be hard out down the street. Like, but just like that, we knew, like, we saw what we didn't have no space, we didn't have no cars, we knew our view was little, and the Lord delivered us into this. So it's just like that, they saw when they lost their temple, they saw the struggle, and now they're weeping. And in the same service, while they're weeping about the things that they've been through, the things that they lost, the other people were praising the Lord for what was about to come. So they were celebrating, like, oh, now we're going to get out of the temple. We've been through this for 70 long years. 70 is a long time to be in a pulpit. Some other times they 7 days, we be ready to leave the Lord. After 7 days, I don't know what he'll do with it. I ain't going back to church. I know I should be going to church. For 7 days, a pulpit. But these people went through 70 years and they stayed faithful, they stayed dedicated, and they made it they were start. So those were the people that were weeping because they went through so much and then they saw the Lord deliver. They saw the Lord give something new and things like that. So they talked about how their first temple was and how they were starting over from scratch and they were just weeping. And those other people were just excited about, it's over, y'all. God gave us something new. We made it, you know, so they were celebrating. Some of them were mourning and some of them were weeping. But we always have to remember that we have to stay focused when we're going through our stuff, because if you can't suffer, you cannot be saved. You gotta go through suffering. It's crazy to think that you're gonna come to this world and you're gonna have a perfect life because you chose God and Jesus even suffered. And he actually did live a perfect life, and we seen it. If you say you don't see it, you're not. If you see it, we all see it. So Jesus even suffered and he was sin free. So of course we want to suffer. You have to be ready to suffer. And being one of God's people comes with suffering. It may seem like you get a little more suffering than this person, but some people have it. We all want to suffer. And whether you bring your suffering on yourself, or whether the Lord just picks you to make you suffer, you still have to go through it. You have to stay faithful, because even when he takes you down through the valley, he will bring you out of it. Even if there's 7 years, 70 years, 700 years, or you might get right out when you go to heaven. Like my dad said when I was sick, if he don't bring you out now, I mean, heaven, you ain't gonna have something to do whatever. So regardless, you will be delivered from whatever the Lord decides to take you through, just like he delivered them through. So it's important to stay focused and have a perspective that will actually help you and not harm you. Like my mother said, don't think, why me? Think, why not me? Why not me to go through the suffer? Or why not me to be chosen to, bring the light to the world through my sickness or my healing? Make sure that you keep that perspective of positivity, find that silver lining, just like they did. While the elders were crying, they still were happy because God finally brought them out. And those others were just happy to have a new temple and, what was coming. Thank God for what was coming. Celebrate what God is building, even if He's not finished it. I mean, all they did was broke the ground. But they were celebrating like they already had that temple. So you have to know that God is going to, whether He has done it or not yet, you know that He is going to do it for you. If you don't do it over here, you're going to do it over there. You might not have got healed over here, but you're going to be healed in here because nobody sees over there. So it's always important to remember that. And it's okay to feel those mixed emotions. It's okay that they were weeping about it, but they were also praising, because it's okay to be sad about what you have lost. But always remember that God is not going to take anything that He is going to replace. You always gonna get something new. So maybe you lost that job, you might get a better job, there's more. Maybe not even more pay, but it might be more accommodating to your schedule. You never know how the Lord is going to do for you.
So some of the people, like Queen, when she runs out of church, then I'm tired of them on that second meeting road. So this is a third meeting road. So we said that you go back and look at the foundation. So sometimes you could be from where she come from. Every time I went to that church, I was little preacher. That was a good church.
Yeah.
And it came a long way from that. So that's a celebration right there. But back then, we went out right now, yeah, before you even thought about it. And, that old church was over there. So I know that we ever went to the old church. So look where we are now. That's from God. And that's a celebration from God. That's where we are. That's the foundation. The older you grow, that foundation, you get right, you have to come out of your granddad's. You know, get right here. And here we are still celebrating the same thing that he did.
Yes, and my grandpa, I wanted to say, yeah, he been in the church, but he knows how when he been, for my dad to get in, and my dad used to be so mad, like, I'm saying, I'm saying it, so like, he only been in the church for 1 year, and he only been 1 year in the church, he died a year after we got him. So yes, even if, he allowed him to see that promised land, but then, he kind of said that he wasn't gonna be here, I would say, he been this one, he wasn't this one. So, just like that, we went through this struggle, like you said, even if it was even small, I don't know what that was, we was pushed up in that room around the corner. So, we could move. I remember something I had to sit my dad down on the drums while he playing, so I can get my seat down. So, like, we was at there. And then we had this big church where we all have our rooms. We finished out going this one, like, I don't know who going to fit. But yeah. That's what he did. He took what they had as their punctuation, and then he returned and gave them something back that they missed. Like I said, my mom take my phone, I used to get trouble, and she used to give me my phone back after I showed her, when she checked the active report, and look at my grades, go look see my grades, so it's not my phone, but you just like that. So that's what the Lord did. He made sure that they get changed, and they made sure that they showed the Lord that they changed. So want to be forgiven, you have to show that you are changed, show that you are trying. Don't admit that you did something wrong, like Mr. Lucas said, and allow the Lord to give you that punishment because you got to get that work. As long as you die that movement, as long as it's going to take you to be delivered. So go and get that book, don't let him show you, you was wrong, you move on, be done with it. So, like I said, we've been here, spiritual lifestyle and unity and worship. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. For the Lord's word, you need to praise in every phase of your life, in every phase be content. Before you got to be content, and while you rebuild, still be content and keep praising the Lord to build that strong foundation because your base for everything else. If your foundation is weak, the building will fall. So if you have a foundation in God, you don't really believe that the Lord will do for you. Only if He's doing good for you. It's going to be hard for you to get through those hard times because you did not build your faith on correctly. You're supposed to build your faith on whether it's easy or hard. Year past, celebrate that God is still working and He's still delivering. We're mourning, but they also weren't crazy for that again. So don't be so stuck in your past that you can't be grateful for the new prison that the Lord is building for you. It's just like how I be struggling sometimes because y'all know I didn't want to. They keep on coming to school like I'm like 40 pounds in now, like it's trying to go down. I'm trying to I was having for the additional weight, but I have to remember that I'm not who I was before I was sick and be grateful that I was healed, be grateful that the Lord, being on me. I told you I only was skinny because I was sick. Like you weren't supposed to be that skinny. You were told that were eating your food. You weren't getting it, so you stayed skinny. So I guess I most of this time really. So it's just a transition for me, and the Lord just put me on the side. He's moving me right now, telling me you do too much, because I be whining. That's my hood always follow me, like, this is what white, like, I hate this. But, yes, that was kind of in your head that you can't appreciate your preaching. Now, I heard about before, maybe you may like my home folks. And then when he brought it to me, all I do is like, I'm kind of like, I'm so skinny, I can do my pop talk and all that. You have to think about that. Don't be so high in your head that you cannot celebrate what the Lord has done for you. He delivered me from being sick like I almost had. I should be grateful for whatever it's like on this side. I almost have no life. So it's important to think about that and be grateful. Don't let your head stop you from celebrating the work that God has done for you. And don't let it be a distraction for you. And I'm going to be our praise basic, our real teacher, Mr. Buckley. Thank you for allowing me to teach today. And thank you for your good teaching. The word is Thank you for your teaching.
here. That's what God dwells in. If God dwells in that temple, what do I need to do? I need to keep my temple clean. It's less than they had to do that. Burnt offering. We don't have to do a burnt offering for our temple. All we have to do is get all our needs and pray and ask God to forgive us. This is the temple He allowed us to have. Now, God allowed you to have that temple. You need to do what it takes to keep that temple pure for God. And I think she gave the example. She explained our lesson about here. And you know, this lesson that's consistent lesson, one lesson to another. You know, Elbert, the same one that talked about last week, he comes along this week. So look what's going on in these lessons we got. Now, let's say that. Remember, you are the temple. Whatever you put in that temple, that's up to you. But God allowed you to put what He wants you to put in that temple, but you make your own choice. This is about choice. So what you remember that you are the temple of God. So God lives where? He lives in us. Now, if you know that if God lives in you, what do I want to do wrong? What are you saying if God lives in you? If God give you this temple, why do you want to do wrong in that temple? This is a temple that He allowed us to have. She explained about that temple there. Now we have a temple that God allowed us to have. So we need to do what God said in this temple to keep this temple right with God. And I just enjoy what she's teaching. Real teaching. I consider myself real teaching. I just consider myself a teacher. All the teachers that teach, I consider everybody a teacher. I have no foot down. I said, we all growing in Christ. Because when you get to the point that people might tell you nothing, what's wrong with you? You got a real problem, I would say. Because in this life, somebody can always tell you something. Even a little child can tell you something. So you get to the point that you know it all, you can protect yourself. Because you don't know it all. I never say I know it all as a teacher. All I do is teach what's going to be taught. All we all do is teach what's going to be taught. Don't ever get to the point that I am the best. You know who was the best? He died on the cross. Everything else comes less. No matter how you think you are, you're still less. And remember, you are no better than nobody else because the gospel always says, what are you? Dust. All of us are dust. We may be some light skinned dust. We may be some dark dust. But we all are dust for what? Dust. As long as you know you're a dust, just keep that in mind. I'm going to tell you to the suit. We stand for our teeth. Give up your hand.